Readings from the English Literature YouTube channel. It is a one-stop destination to soothe all your literary curiosities. In this video, we'll read the Indian English poetry My Country in Thy Day of Glory Past, written by Henry Louis Vivian Derozio. So let's start with the poet Henry Derozio. Henry Louis Vivian Derozio was an Indian poet. He was born on 18th April 1809 in Calcutta, India. He was an Anglo-Indian. His father was Indo-Portuguese and his mother was an Englishwoman. He was the first Indian English poet. M.K. Naik, a scholar of Indian literature in English, has commented on his verse that it bears a strong impression of British Romantic poetry, especially that of Byron. Several features of Romanticism are easily evident in his poetry. At the age of 18 in 1827, his first collection of poems was published, making him famous in the small literary circle of Calcutta. Afterwards, he joined the India Gazette, a weekly newspaper, as the assistant editor and also contributed regularly to the Bengal Annual, the Calcutta Magazine, the Kaleidoscope, and the Indian Magazine. At the age of 20, he started his own paper, the Calcutta Gazette, of which he was both the editor and chief contributor. Later, he taught at Hindu College, that was in Calcutta, the first modern institution of higher learning in India. It was later integrated into Calcutta University in 1857. While teaching at college, he influenced many young boys and founded an intellectual club named the Academic Association, in which ideas and issues could be discussed freely. Later, his growing influence made him controversial and was dismissed from the college. After leaving the college, he reverted to journalism and founded the East Indian, the first newspaper devoted to the cause of the Anglo-Indian community. Derozio was against racial and caste separations and argued that Anglo-Indians should mix freely with Indians. He died very young, when he was hardly 22 years old, on 26 December 1831. That was the brief introduction about the poet Henry Derozio. Let's move towards the text of the poem, My Country in Thy Day of Glory Past. My country, in thy day of glory past, a beauteous halo circled round thy brow. Here, poet is addressing his country, India, and says that in the old days, before this British rule, the country had a glorious past. The country was surrounded by a beauteous halo, which means a circle of light, as we see in the pictures of gods and saints surrounding their foreheads. And worshipped as a deity thou wast. Where's that glory? Where that reverence now? The Everblind suggests that India was a holy land and worshipped by its inhabitants as God. The poet asks his country, where have your past glory, acclamation and respect gone? Here India is depicted as a mother. Thy eagle pinion is chained down at last, and grovelling in the lowly dust art thou. Here, the poet is saying to his country that your eagle-like wings, once that were stretched in the high sky, now chained down at the ground, and are crawling on the dusty ground. From these lines, the poet is trying to say, once our country was free like an eagle flying at high altitude, but now she is a slave under the Britishers. Thy minstrel hath no right to weave for thee, save the sad story of thy misery. Here, poet is saying that your singer has no flowers to weave for you. It means the Indian poet cannot write or sing in praise of his country at present. Only your sad story, that means, country's tragedy is left with him? Well, let me dive into the depths of time and bring from out the ages that have rolled. Here the poet is talking to his country. Well, let me go into the past and bring back some of your glory, respect, and status that you had in the whole world. A few small fragments of those wrecks sublime, which human eye may never more behold. Here, poet is talking to bring back those small fragments of shattered, awe-inspiring glory of the past that have not been seen by human eyes yet. And let the guerdon of my labor be, my fallen country, one kind wish from thee. Here, the poet is asking for his reward from his slave and fallen country. And let the reward of my labor be one kind wish from yours. That means, for bringing back a small fragments of the glorious past, he expects nothing from his fallen country except a kind wish, a free India. That was the line-by-line summary of the poem. Now it's time to analyze the poetry. The poem is suffused with the sense of lost glory and the consciousness of debilitating cultural decline. It is a Petrarchan sonnet having 14 lines. The poem contains two segments. The first segment is of 8 lines and called octave, or we can say octet, and the following segment is a sestet of 6 lines. In octave, poet presents a problem, which is the condition of his motherland under British rule, and the sestet presents the poet's resolution. Rhyming scheme of octave is AB, 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 CC, and the sestet is DE, DE, FF. The poem is composed in iambic pentameter. Each line in the poem contains 5 feet. The stress falls on the second syllable of each foot. There is only one variation in the first line of the poem, which is in iambic tetrameter. So that was the analysis of the poem. Now let's discuss the literary devices used in the poem. In the first and last line of the poem, Derozio uses an apostrophe, as he invokes the spirit of his motherland through the word my country and my fallen country. In the second line, he used synodoche. The bro signifies the head of the deity, that is, his motherland. The poet used personification to compare India to a goddess. In the third line of the poem, and worshipped as deity thou wast, Derozio uses an inversion or anastrophe. In the fourth line, where's that glory? Where's that reverence now? Poet is asking a rhetorical question. The poet has used the metaphor of eagle. He compares India to an eagle chained down by the colonial ruler. Sea and wrecks are other metaphors used for the depths of time and small fragments. It's time to summarize the poetry. This poem has another title also, that is, To India, My Native Land. It is written when India was under British rule. In the poem, Derozio personifies India and talks to her in a monologue. He looks back to ancient history when India was glorious in every field, art, science and literature, architecture also. When India was famous for its advanced civilization and rich traditions. Learned men from all over the world used to visit here to enrich themselves and also their own cultures. The country was worshipped worldwide as a goddess. He also described the worsened condition of the country during British rule and how she was ransacked by the British government for their country's benefit. At the time of Derozio, India's state of affairs was so poor that he couldn't find anything plausible in her. That made the poet sad. At last, we saw him taking a resolution to bring back some of the forgotten majesties in this British period. Let's discuss the questions asked in the examination. Explain with reference to the context in about 150 words each. A. My country, in thy day of glory past, a beauteous halo circled round thy brow, and worshipped as a deity thou wast. B. Where's that glory? Where that reverence now? Thy eagle pinion is ta'en down at last, and grovelling in the lowly dust art thou. Thy minstrel hath no reed to weave for thee, save the sad story of thy misery. So these were the important questions from this poem. Hope you understood the poetry. And yes, don't forget to support us by liking the video, share with your friends, and subscribe the English Literature for more such videos. Thanks for watching.